Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you had a wonderful 4th of July weekend and that you all still have all of your fingers and that you're rested and relaxed and you took at least one day during that long weekend to learn more about the 5Q scripts. I can count on that, right? So changes are afoot here at 5Q in ECA groups. I want to start out with the changes that are occurring. They will start on August 1st. So what's going to be happening is 5Q is going to be merging with ECA marketing. So up to this point, we've been a freestanding coaching service with ECA, and now ECA is integrating us into their whole system. So beginning August 1st, 5Q Group and ECA will be joining forces. This is going to allow you to continue to use all of our 5Q website, all of our tools, all the things you have gotten used to using, but you're also going to be able to use all of the, not some of the, but all of the things that ECA has to offer going forward and what they bring to the table. So that's going to be fantastic. Your 5Q specialists are going to stay the same. Jerry, Dan, and Nate are still going to be the same people who help you out, as well as any of your contracting team or life marketers you've been using. And in addition, you're going to still hear me on the Monday morning coaching calls, just as you had before. But all back office support previously handled by Tricia and Missy, that's going to be transitioned over to the ECA operations team. And our Rochester office will be closing effective July 31st at the end of this month. So you'll still be able to reach 5Q Group via the same phone number, so no changes in the phone number. Same email, support@5qgroup.com. And you can, everything's the same at ECA as well. So we look forward to continuing a great partnership with ECA as they've integrated us and giving you all the additional tools that ECA marketing is going to be using. So we're excited about that. So I've said about that. We'll go ahead and move forward here to our main topic, which is what gets people to move money? What gets people to move money?
Mike, are you still there?
Yeah. Can you hear me? You can't hear me?
Okay, there we go. You were just breaking up there for a little bit, but it seems like it's okay now. So
no, you're breaking up.
Oh, yep,
no,
I'm breaking.
So I'm gonna hang up, call right back. Don't go anywhere. I'm gonna hang up and I'm gonna call right back. So apparently I got a bad phone line here. So I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. It'll be less than a minute.
And guys, I'm just going to see if you can hear me okay on my end. Okay, perfect. I got a couple that says, yes, everything is okay, loud and clear, perfect. So we'll just wait for Mike to come in. I don't know if he just got a bad connection there. Yep, we sure can. Sounds good.
Is it better?
Yep.
Okay, good. So what gets people to, okay, I've got good answers here. Move money because they do not trust their guide, Tom. That's exactly right. Because if they move because they don't have a survivor's guide, which they won't, but if they did, they will and trust, they won't, but if they did. But if they move because they find out the power of attorney isn't working with Social Security, they move because they don't have a power of attorney, they move because any of these problems, that their titling is wrong, their beneficiaries are wrong, they're paying too much in fees, their asset weighting is wrong, their tenure is too small, too low, too much turnover costs, all their funds are on a preferred list for the current broker-dealer, their risk-reward is out of whack. If they just move because of that, what happens? Oh, Dean said, did everybody hear the announcement, or you want me to do the announcement again?
Maybe go ahead and do it one more time. I could hear it pretty darn good, but it looks like there's a few people that could not. Okay,
it's not a big deal. August 1st, we're going to be merging with ECA Marketing. 5Q is going to be merging with ECA Marketing. Up to this point, for the last 23 years of our relationship, 5Q has been a standalone coaching service that has used ECA as their field marketing organization to offer our products. So they're actually merging us with them. So beginning August 1st, you're going to be able to not only access all the 5Q system, which you've been able to do forever and ever, but also not just some, but all of the ECA tools that are out there. So your 5Q specialists are going to remain the same. Jerry, Dan, and Nate, same old. You're going to continue to hear these coaching calls. That won't change at all. And then, but all of our back office support that has previously been handled by Tricia and Missy there's going to be transitions to the ECA operations team at because our Rochester office will be closing at the end of this month. So that'll all be done through the Eden Prairie office in the Twin Cities. So you'll still be able to reach 5Q through the same phone number, the same email. None of that will change. And we're looking forward to continuing this great relationship that we currently have with ECA. Make sense? Okay, so here's because if we're back to what gets people to move their money. If there's a problem here, Steve got it. If they have a problem, their advisor can fix it. The advisor can go back and say, I don't like my tenure. I want more experienced fund managers. I don't like the turnover cost. So they can go back and if they complain about these things, guess what their advisor will do? Okay, we'll fix it for you, and then you're out. Because then all they're saying is there's a mistake. And guys, you've been in the business long enough. Have you seen egregious mistakes that their current advisor has made, and they still leave the money with them? I want yays or nays on it, Ys or Ns. Have you sat down with clients who had their current advisor had egregious, horrible, terrible mistakes, and they stayed with their current advisor? It's amazing the mistakes that they'll forgive. They'll forgive them, and they'll go back and they'll yell at the guy. And what would the guy say? Hey, if you ever do this again, if you're charging me too many fees, and you got to lower that. What would the guy say? Oh, sorry. I'll never let it happen. Cross my heart. Hope to die. Stick a needle in my eye. I'll never let that happen again. And the client says, okay, just make sure that doesn't happen again. Do they forgive their current guy? Yes, they do. That's right. They say sorry and they're forgiven. The reason is why? Because do people like confrontation? No. Do they like hassle? No. Leaving their current advisors full of hassle and confrontation. So they're going to do everything. They're going to do mental gymnastics to validate staying with their current guy. If all it is a mistake, we have to do something different than just point out mistakes. And here's the example I give. Let's say on the news we hear that a guy ran over and killed a 3-year-old. Now, we're all going to feel bad for the 3-year-old. We're all going to feel bad for the 3-year-old's family. But how we feel about the guy, that depends. Let's say, for example, we hear that the guy is a local high school teacher, volunteers at the local food shelf. He was actually pulling out of his driveway at 3 a.m. to go to a second job to help put his disabled kid through school. And was he looking for a 3-year-old walking through his driveway at 3 a.m? No. Is he a good guy? Yes. This was a terrible, terrible mistake. So how do we feel about that guy at this point? We obviously feel bad about the 3-year-old. We feel bad for their family. But how do we feel about that guy? That he's a jerk, he should go to jail? Or do we feel bad for the guy because we know that he's probably just being torn up inside? Bad? B? Give me some B's if you think you're going to feel bad for the guy. Or N's if you're not going to feel bad for the guy. Of course we're going to feel bad for the guy. Yes, exactly. Now, what if instead we hear that a guy was on meth, and he and his buddy had made a bet to see how many 3-year-olds they could kill that day. How many people they could run over that day. Now how do we feel about that guy? String him up, fry him, right, exactly. So the difference between the 3-year-old, the victim, we're always feeling bad for the victim, but how we feel about the perpetrator depends on whether it was a mistake, a terrible, horrible mistake, or they did it on purpose. See, a crime means there's opportunity, motive, and means. It has to have all 3 of those things to convict somebody. And that's what we have to show with our clients' advisors. That is, the advisor had an opportunity to screw them, he had a means to screw them, and he had a motive to screw them. When they do that, can they forgive their guy? They cannot. See, they need the motive. So, and you have a batting average of 1,000%. You have a batting average of 100% when you do that. Why? Because they can forgive mistakes, but they cannot forgive something that was done to them on purpose. And the example I give is this: when people come on the 5Q system, I ask them, what is your closing ratio? And many of them will say, oh, it's like probably 80, 90%. If I get them in the office, I'm going to close them. Now, guys, I figured out why that's the case. Why are they saying that they close 80 to 90% of the people who come into the office? Are those people doing any marketing? The people that say they close 80 to 90% of the people who come into the office, are they doing any marketing? No. So they're basically getting referrals. I sure in the heck hope you can close 80 or 90% of the people who come to your office when you're getting referrals. I'm talking about how many people do you close if a bus pulled up with that had no intention whatsoever of moving their money to you. They love their current advisor. If that bus pulled up in front of your office and they all went through your process, now what's your closing ratio? When I ask guys that, they say, well, I mean, obviously it's not going to be as high. Well, how high would it be? Guys, do people like hassles? Do they like confrontation? No. So what's your closing ratio going to be? Is if all you do is, number one, show them they made mistakes, or number two, show them what great things you have. Can their guy fix the mistakes? Yes. Can their guy give them any great ideas that you actually implement any great ideas you have? Yes. They have the same exact access to the products that we have. So what's your closing ratio going to be, high or low? It's going to be low. But with the 5Q system, if a bus full of people pull up in front of my office and they all love their guy, what would my closing ratio be? Using the 5Q system, what would my closing ratio be? And we've actually got 60,000 tapes. And again, we could be saving tapes back in 2018. So that's what? We've probably got 150,000 meetings now. But what would my closing ratio be? 90% plus, Steve. Why? Steve, you actually use the system, so I'm sure you're having the same type of success. It's because what? It's designed to get me to tell them they shouldn't trust their guy, that their guy's making mistakes, that you have better ideas. No, it's designed to have them say what? My guy is screwing me. He's withholding information that puts him in a better position and me in a worse position. He's withholding information, it's putting him in a better position, me in a worse position. 20 times they're going to say that to themselves. If they say that 20 times to themselves, what are they going to do? They're going to move. And then when they're going to move, are they going to look in the yellow pages for somebody? Or are they going to move to the person, like we talked about last week, who, if I show them how I cut, the first time I cut the lady in half, they're amazed. The second time I show them, when I've showed them how I cut the lady in half, the second time I show them, they're like, yeah, I've seen that before. Are they going to go in the yellow, once they decide I can't work with my current guy, are they going to go looking in the yellow pages, or are they going to work with the guy who showed them how to cut the lady in half because they know at least I won't play those tricks on them? So a closing ratio using the 5Q system with motivational interviewing, with the scripts that have been used for the quarter of a decade, that gets 90% plus to move their money. Now, it gets 100% of them to move the money. Who are those other 10% of people? Yeah, that's right. Tom already said it. The other 10% would move, but you're like, man, I don't want to work with these people. I do not want to work with people. Now, you can you bring it up, Steve, DIYers. I get DIYers to move. Now, do they move all their money? No. What part of their money do DIYers move? Our system's set up to get them to move part of their money. What part of the money do we get DIYers to move? They're non-equity investments. They're conservative portfolio. Because let's just talk about that for a second. It's not included in what I want to cover, Dave, but let's talk about that for a second. The people who are do-it-yourselfers, how much do they think they know about stocks? Where do they rank themselves on stock knowledge and stock picking knowledge? Yeah, they think they're geniuses. They think that they've got, because do they like to read stuff online? Do they subscribe to services? How much are they interested in what they're doing? These DIYers that are picking their own portfolios. Yes, they think they're geniuses. Now, how much do they know about fixed investments? How much do they know about bonds? How much do they know about insurance? How much do they know about guaranteed investments? A lot or not very much? Yeah, zero. They know 0, 0, 0, 0. So the conversation, we have it on the website on how to deal with this. But the thing is, we compliment them on how much of a genius they are with stocks, but then we walk through the fact that the guaranteed investments, bond investing, if you're walking down the street in Wall Street and you're looking at somebody with $1,500 shoes, is that a stock trader or a bond trader? The guy walking down the street on Wall Street with $1,500 shoes, is he the stock or bond trader? He's a bond trader. Why is he the bond trader? Because are bonds transparent, or are they behind the information behind? They're not transparent at all. I made a ton of money working at the bank, working at Wells Fargo, selling bonds. Why? Because I chose what I was going to make on that bond, and there was no way for the client to determine whether that was a good deal or not. So when I'm working with a DIYer, I walk through that. Hey, they're geniuses when it comes to stocks, because I'm not going to fight that. But they'll also admit that that there's not a lot of information. They don't have any resources. They don't have any online things. They don't have any systems to become very knowledgeable on bonds. So all I get is their safe money. I get their safe money. I get their safe money. I get their safe money. Does that make sense? So it's 90% plus, including DIYers, to close them, even if they have no intention whatsoever of moving their money when they walk in. In fact, we talked about this last week. Am I happy or am I worried when they tell me that they love their guy? Would I rather have somebody come in and say, not really pleased with my guy, or would I rather have them say they're really happy? I want them to say they're happy with the guy. The happier they are with the guy, the more pissed off they're going to be when they find out he's screwing them. Make sense? So here's the thing. If 10 people walk into my office or walk into a general financial advisor's office that have this bus pulls up, no intention whatsoever of moving their money, no intent, they're totally satisfied with the current guy. A normal advisor, 6 of them are going to be gettable. Why? 6 of them are going to be gettable because six of them have money. 4 of them don't have money, but they're going to get just one by doing no scripts. So you could get one person by doing one of these people, and that's why with non-5Q trained people, they'll close 10% of people. Why? Right place, right time. Right place, right time. The people either just moved to town, they just retired and didn't have an advisor, they just inherited money, didn't have an advisor, their current advisor died, moved, or did something to upset them. So 1 out of 10 you can get to move just by doing the 21-point checklist with no scripts whatsoever. Just think, here's the 21 things we do for you. You get 2 by getting all you did was get the client to say he doesn't care. You get 2 additional ones. You get 2 by getting the client to say the advisor did it on purpose. 1 takes too long to get, so you just drip on them. You just say, I don't really, they can't make up their mind, whatever. You just walk away because they're too much of a pain in the behind. And then 4 have no money. So the way I look at it is if that bus pulls up with people, and that bus is marketing. And these people come marketing, they have no intention. Guys, is there any marketing that pre-sells somebody? Is there any marketing out there that pre-sells somebody? No, because if there was marketing that pre-sold somebody, guess who'd be out of a job? You would, I would. Because wouldn't all the companies, insurance companies, all the mutual fund companies, all the money managers like to take their biggest expense out of the process? That's us. Now, marketing does work for the do-it-yourselfers, but it doesn't work for the other 90% of people out there who need to be sold. Because if it did, we'd be out of a job. So that bus pulls up. However you market, whether it's seminars or mailers or whatever it may be, lead server, whatever, they show up. Well, you can get 10% of those people, 1 out of 10, because you're at the right place at the right time. They just retired, their advisor just retired, whatever. You get them because you're right place, right time. 10% of people are never going to buy. 21, if you just do the 21-point checklist and they find out, well, you know what, my guy didn't really care, and you look a little bit different, I'll go ahead and go with you. So if they find out that you're different and that you care about people, you get another 10%. If they figure out their guy didn't care about them, you get another 15, and then you get the other 15 when they find out, you know what, that guy did it to me on purpose. So you're going to end up getting this half of people that come in on that bus from marketing that have no intention of moving to you. 10% you just think is worth your time, and the other people just don't have any money. So how many times do you need to be reminded? If it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is. Well, here's the thing. If in the first 30 minutes the client says, any advisor, because again, when I show this to people who are just thinking about the 5Q system, they're like, that's bullshit. Yeah, great. Nice graph. Anybody can make that graph. Anybody can make those claims. That's bullshit. I get it. Sounds too good to be true, probably is. But here's the thing. If in the first 30 minutes the client says, any advisor that doesn't look at make sure my POA works with my POA is a lousy advisor. How many of them would start to think maybe I'm working with the wrong advisor? First of all, do we get clients to say this? Yay or nay? Do we get clients to say that? Yay or nay in the first 30 minutes? Yes. And if they say that, are they thinking, my guy might be a lousy advisor then? What if in the first 30 minutes they say, my advisor purposely used the wrong form to make money on me when I'm dead? And then he wants to do the same thing to my kids. Do we get them to say that? Yay or nay? So now they've said this and they've said this. In the first 30 minutes, do we get them to say, my advisor only cares about making money on me. My needs and my family's needs are just an afterthought. He's all about his paycheck. Here's a little test for you guys. What script does this, gets the client to say this? This was titling. What script gets them to say, my advisor only cares about making money on me. My needs and my family needs are just an afterthought. He's all about his paycheck. Which script gets them to say, very good, Tom, the beneficiary script? If they say these three things in the first 30 minutes, what's the likelihood they're well on their way to leaving their current guy? And we haven't even gotten the money stuff yet. We haven't even gotten to the fact that the guy is screwing them. He is giving them the wrong advice to make more money on them, and they're getting the short end of the stick. What percentage of people are well on their way of this bus, are well on their way to leaving their current advisor? Just in the first 30 minutes, and I haven't even gotten to the money yet. Right? See, we don't tell them a thing. They need to show me, they need to explain to me, they need to prove to me that their guy is taking advantage of them. So, can we fix it? Yeah, we can fix it. But so can their current guy. We can't rely on that. If all I do is fix their current problems or show them how to fix the problems, that's what I was doing when I was making 50 grand a year for those first 8 years in the business. I was showing people how to fix it. And they say, thanks, Mike. Thanks, you're awesome. If I ever need another advisor, if my guy ever retires, I will move to you. I mean, that eighth year when I got in front of 300 people and only closed 4 of them, I was getting gift baskets from other advisors around the city saying, thanks, whatever you're doing, Mike, keep doing it because you're making us a ton of money. Because all of our clients are coming back and saying, we want to change all these things. And guess who got the beneficiary of that? Their current client and the other advisor. I got nothing. I did all the work and got nothing. You cannot be about fixing things. And what does every other advisor want to do out there besides 5Q Train? What does every other advisor want to do out there? They want to what? When they get a prospect, they want to show them how they can what? Fix their situation. Yeah, you'll close 10% of people that way. You won't close 100%. It's big swing and a miss. You have to show the motive. You have to show the motive. See, awkward conversation starts to avoid. I mean, here's the thing. If all I do is if I tell them that their guy is bad, is that going to work? If I try to tell them I'm great, is that going to work? No, I'm going to be rejected. I'm going to be rejected. So we can't treat them badly. We can't treat them badly. Me trying to teach them that they're getting screwed, me trying to preach at them that they're getting screwed, me trying to tell them they're getting screwed, sell them on the fact they're getting screwed. If I try to teach, preach, sell, or tell, guess what that's going to get me? Nothing, because they feel like I'm looking down on them. There's only one person they believe 100% of the time, and who is that? Yeah, that's right, Steve. They don't say it, it means nothing. There's only one person they believe 100% of the time, it's them. And if you try to point out they make a mistake, the knee-jerk reaction is to do what? Defend it. The only time I'm 100% invested in making a mistake, that I made a mistake, is when who discovers it? Somebody else? No, because then I defend it. The only time I'm 100% invested that I made the mistake is when I figured it out for myself. Does that make sense? Let me decide if I made a mistake. Don't tell me I made a mistake. Let me decide I made a mistake. So we do that by asking lots and lots and lots and lots of questions. But first of all, when people first look at the 5Q system, one of the biggest things I get is, wait a minute, you're asking all these questions. They're going to spot it. They're going to spot, and this is like at a day and a half training where I'm getting people to check out the system, and I walk through how the system works with them. They're saying, I'm going to spot a leading question. What's the funny thing about me during a day and a half training with a class, and those of you who remember going through that class with me, what's the funny thing when they say that client's gonna figure out you're asking leading questions? What's funny about that? What have I just done with the class for the last day and a half? The people who are saying the clients are going to catch you asking leading questions have just spent a day and a half of answering my leading questions. And guys, do you think advisors that come to that training, do you think they're like open-minded, or do you think they come and, this guy is full of shit? I'll come out and check it out. It seems mildly interesting, but I'll believe it when I see it. Or do you think they think, oh, I can't wait to come on. I can't wait to come on. Are they more suspicious or more likely to want to come on when they come out to one of those trainings? They think I'm full of it. That's right, Andre. They think I'm full of it. They come out suspicious. So, but if I can get suspicious people who are trained in sales to answer my leading questions, guess what? How hard do you think it is to get somebody who's not trained in sales to get them to answer your questions? Easy, 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 if you got them. And the funny thing is, I created these questions in 1997. Now, between 1997 and 2002, when I started coaching guys, I had a lot, thousands more meetings. I fine-tuned it. So about 90% of these questions were designed in 1997, and they were finessed and fine-tuned over the next 5 years, but we really haven't changed a question in 20 years. The funny thing is, 25 years ago, I predicted what your clients would say 25 years in the future. And when I've gone through all those, we went through those, the full 21-point checklist twice in the last 2 or 3 years, twice on these coaching calls. And remember, the question I always ask you is Jeff answering it just to be nice to me, or is it the only way Jeff can answer it without looking silly? See, these questions, the questions are designed and have been tested tens and tens and tens of thousands of times for the client to only answer it one way. So how powerful it is when you can predict what, and guess what, 25 years from now, guess how they're going to answer it? The same exact way. They're designed to do that. See, the motive, so let's talk about the motive these scripts are designed to do. What is the motive of the advisor for the Survivor's Guide, Medical Power of Attorney, e-filing, Quality of Life Directive, Identity Theft Plan, umbrella? What is the motive? He only cared about himself. These things, he didn't get paid to do it, so why worried about it? So he only cares about himself. What kind of advisor would I be if I didn't do this? That's right, Steve. Yes, exactly. Exactly. What's the motive for POA? He gets to keep the money longer. What's the motive for titling? He gets to keep the money longer. He makes money when you're dead, and then he wants to do the same thing to the kids. Beneficiaries. He only cares about his own checkbook. He doesn't get paid. He doesn't get paid to make sure your beneficiaries are right, but he does get paid to make sure his name's on the forms. He does get paid to make sure the amount of money in there is accurate, but he doesn't get paid more to what? Make sure the beneficiaries. So he made sure his name was right, made sure his address is right, he made sure the amount of money in the account is right, because those all affect how he gets paid, or if he gets paid. Funny thing is, the thing he doesn't get paid on was making sure your grandkids are taken care of. Now, money's important, but what's more important than money? Family. I'm sure he thinks that way about his family, but does he think that way about your family? No, he only cares about what? Things he makes money on. What's the motive for fees? He hid the amount of fees to make more money off of you. Asset weighting. He overweighted the equities to make more money off you. Because does he make money if you put, okay, first of all, are bonds guaranteed, guys? The way 90% of bonds are sold, are they guaranteed? No. So why then did he not recommend they take the guaranteed money and put it into a CD, into a money market? Why didn't he do that? Because he doesn't get paid on that. Turnover costs, hid them to make more money off of you. Preferred list, hid them to make more money off of you. Risk reward, hid it to make more money off of you. Diversification, wanted to make it overly complicated to prevent you from leaving. And then at the end of the 21-point checklist, we do what? We start at 21, and then we go to 20, then 19, and 18, 17, 16, 15. So we just go backwards. And here's the funny thing. When we go backwards and have them synopsize, because do people remember everything of the 21-point checklist, or do they remember the last thing you covered? It's human nature to remember the last thing you covered. So you have to go back and remind them of the other 21 things that you just talked about. And here's what's funny. They start to rewrite history in their head, where these first ones, where they just decided he only cared about himself. What kind of advisor would be if I didn't cover that? You'd be a bad advisor. Here's the first time through, they didn't really attack their guy on these. But when I go through it backwards, guess what they start to do? First time through, when I went through in the forward to first thing, second thing, third thing, although it's one thing, these things they didn't attack their guy on. But when I go backwards through it, all of a sudden they start to say, you know what? He didn't talk about the umbrella because he didn't give a crap about me. He didn't talk about the ID theft. He should be talking about that. He didn't talk about that. See, they start to attack their guy with these things where first time through they didn't. It rewrites, when you do it correctly, they start to saying, all those things I thought didn't really tie to him, I'm tying them to him. This guy has a track record. He has motive. All these things, see, it rewrites history for them. So who's to blame? Their advisor. By doing this, you've got their ear. They are listening to you. So if you wanted to do these and get good at them, if you go to the 21-point checklist, look right here. What is the end goal of each of the topics? There's a video on that, backwards and forwards, and we have the outline. When we look at the outline, it says right here, introduction. What do you want the client? The moral of the story is what you want the client to say. What do you want the client to say at the end of the introduction? You want them to say, this meeting is not about finding a solution. It's about finding out what I like and what I don't like. Why do you want them to say that? So at the end, they don't press you for what? Solutions. Because after an hour and a half or 2 hours of doing 21-point checklist, do you want to then talk about solutions? No. How do we end every meeting? Well, we'll go through that here in a second, but you don't want them. So you want them to agree up front. This is not about, because if you don't do this up front and then they ask you what would you recommend, and you say, well, we'll talk about the next meeting, they think what? They get mad at you. That's why I have them tell me up front. So when they ask at the end, what would you recommend? I say, well, remember when we first began this meeting, we said this meeting was about giving you solutions or about finding out what you like and don't like. And if I gave you solutions, I was making assumptions that you wouldn't like things. And what do we say about assumptions? They make a what out of you and me? So why can't I give you the answer to this? And then they'll say, oh, that's right. This meeting wasn't about that. You didn't even know what we're going to see. That's what I want them to remember. And I also want them to say that they've done all the heavy lifting. Any changes we're going to make is simple and easy. That's what I want them to say for the introduction. What I want them to say to the Survivor's Guide is, I need this document so I don't cause my family problems when I die. What do I want the will and trust? It's good to have an update periodically. So these things aren't big things on their guide. But now, we're going to get them to think power of attorney. And an advisor doesn't look at this. My power of attorney is a bad advisor. I want them to say that. Then when we lump all the medical power of attorney, filing them electronically in the Quality of Life Directive, we lump them all together. But at the end of those three things, I want them to say, any advisor doesn't ensure that I have a medical power of attorney that's filed electronically and a Quality of Life Directive is a bad advisor. I want them to say that out loud. I don't move forward until they do. And listening to me, do I want them to say that once, guys? Do I want them to say, any guy that doesn't look at my power of attorney is a bad advisor once, and any advisor that looks at my MPOA file electronically and Quality of Life Directive is bad once? No, I want them to say what? 4 or 5 times. 4 or 5 times. Now we're at what? 8 to 10 times already right here. Identity theft. I want them to say, any advisor that doesn't look at identity theft is a bad advisor 4 or 5 times. Property casualty. Any advisor doesn't make sure I'm covered, doesn't cover property casualty is a bad advisor 4 or 5 times. Umbrella. Any advisor doesn't make sure I have an umbrella 4 or 5 times. titling, and my company had me sign the wrong form on purpose so they could hold or make money when I'm dead, and then they want to do the same thing to my kids. Guys, that's what the client has to say before you move on to beneficiaries. And listening to our scripts, do they say that? If you do the scripts the exact way I laid out, did Jeff say that? And if you listen to scripts, as I said earlier, and I would ask you, would Jeff answer it any other way than the way Jeff answered it? Would your client answer it any other way than the Jeff answered? No, they won't. These questions are set up to have the client say these things. Beneficiaries, my advisor cares. All he cares about is money. My family and my concerns are simply an afterthought. Fees. Oops. My advisor has me in investments that I receive less from, but pay more for. I get less, but pay more for them, and never showed me things that I could have paid less for and made more from. Interest rate volatility. My advisor has me in bonds that aren't really safe, and they charge me higher fees. He did not show me things would have been truly safe, and I would have paid less for. Investment weighting. My advisor has me in too much risk because he makes more money in market investments. He doesn't have me properly weighted portfolio because he makes less if he did that. Tenure. My advisor has me with managers with less experience, and I'm paying more for them. He did not show me managers with decades of experience that I could have paid way less for so he could make more money. Turnover. My advisor has been telling me to buy and hold at the very time he has had his managers buying and selling like crazy, which is causing me all sorts of costs. Why? To make himself more money. He put me into funds with high turnover that I pay more for, and never showed me funds that have low turnover that I would pay much less for so he could make more money. And guys, go back to the scripts. They say these things. They will say these things. He has risk reward. He has me in things with higher risk that I pay more for. He did not show me things that I could have less risk and paid less for just to make more money in me. He's got me diversified. I'm not diversified at all. He has me in all these things that make it really complicated so that I'm forced to stay with them. And then you go back to the 21 things and have them say all of these things again. Guys, if they say all these things twice, that means they've said things 42 times in their own words. Their guy is screwing them. What percentage of this bus is going to move their money? What percentage of their bus is going to move their money if they say that 42 times? And see, you have experience with this. You do this every single client you sit down or prospect you sit down with, so you know. But the rest of you guys, if you do these scripts, and that's why I scratch my head when I'll talk to somebody and say, hey, let's just and again, I get it. I'm putting somebody on the spot, but I say, hey, let's just run through the beneficiary script. And they fumble, and not only do they not get it right, they don't even know where to start, which tells me they don't know the script at all. They're not even very familiar with it. They know it exists, but they don't. Guys, how confident will I be to market if I know that when I get them a bus full of people who have no desire whatsoever of moving their money to me, I'll get 90% of them to move all their money to me. If they're do-it-yourself, I get them to move half of their money to me. How confident would I be in marketing? Yeah, 100%. Does that make sense? Let me see here. So please, we're still in the summer mode here. You've got July and August. Guess what I would be humping to do? Learn the scripts. You all know my fireman strategist analogy, where I say, if I grabbed a fireman who knows nothing about selling, knows nothing about financial products, but I said, I can make you $500,000 in a year if you learn these scripts. In fact, let's not even do that. Let's say I can make you $500,000. I say, I'll pay you $200,000. I'll pay you. So he doesn't even have to sell these products. If I just said, I'll pay you $200,000 to learn the scripts of the 21-point checklist in 2 weeks, guess what percentage of firemen would be able to do that with no experience in selling, no experience in 100% of them would, because what would their wife say? Take vacation, learn those scripts. What would he say? What I can't really do tonight because I'm coaching my daughter's softball. She'd say she can find another coach for 2 weeks. Stay in that room, learn those scripts, and boom. Now, guys, I'd pay him $200,000 to do that. What can you make by learning these scripts? $200,000 is a lot or a little compared to what you would make with these scripts. If you had that bus of 100 retired folks show up, a little more or a lot more, Steve? If I could get 100 people into my office who have no intention, 100 people, so let's say 50 clients, prospects in my office, and I close half of them, we're down to 25. 25. So let's just do the math. 25, and I'm only going to get 90% of them. So let's say I don't even get 90%. Let's just say I get less than 90%, which is 20. And what do we make on an average client? What do you make on an average client? 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000. What do you make on an average client? Just throw a number out there, any number. 10,000? Does that seem like a lot or little? Well, if you do 10,000, let's see here, 20 times 10. That's $200,000 right there. There's $200,000 right there. Guys, if you should be able to get in 2 different marketing that many people. So you market and spend what, maybe $20,000 to make $200,000 if you know the scripts. How many of you would like to spend 20 grand to make 200,000? How often would you do that in a year? So please, 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 I harp at this and it all makes sense, and then you hang up and you forget about it. July and August are the times you should be learning the scripts, doing your GOTS, and so you can hit it hard. Because the best time to market is January and February. When's the second best time to market? September, October, because everybody, even retirees, kind of turn off the preparation and planning during summer. But after summer, everybody kind of gets this feeling, just like they do in January. At the end of summer, they all think, okay, I need to get back to business. I need to look at the things I've been ignoring. I need to go through things, make sure everything's all set. The fall is a fantastic time to market. Please, please, please use the summer to lock these things down, and then jump into some marketing come September and October. It's the second best time to market. Make sense? Super. Well, you guys all have a great rest of the week. And we'll all talk to you all next Monday. Appreciate you being on the call, and I appreciate you letting me get on my soapbox a little here. But guys, you've got the world by the tail. It's up to you to grab it. Make sense? Have a great day. Thanks. Bye.